No more Shama.
What is up, y'all? It's your boy Jermaine Event, main on MMA, and today, ladies and gents, we are checking out this video from the homie GeeKay about Leon Edwards being ignorant and arrogant, ladies and gents. And now, if you're not a first-time listener, you would know that your boy here has been talking about how limited Leon Edwards is for a long time here, right? He should have lost in the third fight. He was cheating that entire fight against Kamaru Usman. All right. And he somehow didn't get points deducted. He won that fight. It is what it is. I thought Colby was going to dominate him. Colby doesn't look like Colby in his prime. Colby looks like he's kind of regressing, if I have to be honest. I'm a big Colby guy, and it hurts to say it, ladies and gents. Now, Leon Rocky Edwards got dominated by Bilal, mainly with the grappling, the pressure, which is what does Colby do? Does Colby not come at you with the pressure? He keeps throwing strikes. He keeps putting you up against the fence. That's what prime Colby would do, which to me sounded like kryptonite to Leon Superman. But somehow Colby had regressed to a point where he wasn't ready for that fight. Now, we got Rocky here. Come on, Rock. We got Rocky here. And I was saying, I believe I said here a few videos ago that had he not landed that amazing head kick, right? That last Hail Mary head kick, he was getting dominated that fight. Had he not landed that head kick in the last 40 seconds of that fight, all right, those moments in the corner of the coach saying, do you want me to stop it? And like he went on to win that fight. So it's like, damn, he knew what to say to motivate his fighter. But what about when it was happening against Bilal? And he's like, do you want me to stop this fight? And like, Leon never pulled it out and won that fight. You know what I'm saying? So it looks pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? And he just looks so checked out in there all the time. He looked checked out in the second fight against Usman until he landed that kick. That's why the guy's saying, do you want me to stop this fight? Because this guy very visibly looks like he doesn't want to be in there. All right. And shout out to Calf Kick Sports, all the homies out in the UK. Shout out to Ash, bless his heart. I know he was like, he's rolling with Leon heading into this fight, in spite of Bilal dominating with the grappling, with his wrestling, and Sean Brady being on paper the much better grappler, much better wrestler. All right. So let's check out this video from GeeKay. I'm fired up. I'm just not a Leon Edwards guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a Leon Edwards guy. That moment there, I was caught up in the hype. I was like, yeah, Leon's dope. But then when you go back and you watch it, you're like, dude, he's getting dominated. And he luckily landed a kick. And then he cheated and cheated and cheated in the third fight. He just cheats so much. I mean, it's weird. And he was trying to grab the shorts from Sean Brady, trying to pull, and the ref thankfully calls him on the foul. But dude, let's get into this video.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. There's something about Leon Edwards that I find to be extremely annoying. I understand that he's a fighter, and that alone deserves a level of respect. But the way he thinks, views himself, and operates just really gets on my nerves, because even though he tends to present himself as a reserved and humble guy, he has an underlying air of arrogance about him that is very irritating. And watching him get humbled by Sean Brady over the weekend was one of the most satisfying sights to come out of the UFC in recent memory. And I personally felt vindicated when Brady confirmed Leon's snooty attitude after the fight.
He said something, he was asking me about my height, and I was like, he was like, how tall are you, 5'8", 5'9"? Like, he was being a dickhead. And I was like, I'm 5'9". And I was like, what are you, 6'2"? I was like, you got those big shoes on, like, just making a joke of it. And then we faced off for legit 5 seconds, walked off. I don't know if it's his manager, his brother, like, and him were like, oh, this is super awkward. And me and my team looked at him like, yo, you're in London, like, this is your fight week, like, you're about having to do some media. Like, I'm respectful. Like, GSP's my favorite fighter. always respected guys, but when you're an asshole like that, like don't like I can give it right back. So personally, Leon, him and his whole team, and that's how I feel about the whole situation.
Watching this out of context may seem like Sean Brady is being a sensitive short king over a harmless joke, but it wasn't what was said, but rather how and why. And having watched Edwards for a while now, it was clear to me that it was his attitude that got on Sean's nerves and not the actual words. Because while he made sure to say that he was fully focused on Brady all throughout fight week, his demeanor was of somebody that felt like the result of the fight was a foregone conclusion, and that he was too good to be there, and that he was doing everybody a favor by taking this fight on short notice.
Who cares? You know what I mean? It's not, like I said, it's not about showing this fight for me. It's about me, right? It's me going out there and putting my right wrongs and
he overlooked Sean Brady completely.
You know what I mean? There's nobody else. There's been no really movement in the welterweight division. You know what I mean? Everyone ain't fighting each other or having fought, or there's not much going on.
They are fighting each other. You're not fighting.
I feel like a win over Sean, a good win. Just put me right back where I left off.
I understand that the fight was taking place in London, therefore Leon probably felt like he was the reason why everyone was watching, and Sean Brady was just a placeholder opponent that could have been anyone else in the division. But the reality is, his first comeback fight after losing his title was a fight night, and that wasn't on Sean Brady, it was on him. Because even though he likes to pretend like he's this exciting and dynamic striker that everyone is just dying to watch, Leon Edwards is boring in and out of the octagon. And before he knocked out Kamaru Usman with a head kick to win the title, he was mostly known for getting pieced up by Jorge Masvidal backstage, and for almost getting finished by 36-year-old Nate Diaz, who looked like he was hotboxing and doing shots in his car 10 minutes before entering the octagon. And the Usman fight led to him taking on an identity that he simply could never live up to, because landing one head kick does not turn a flawed striker who has trouble with being pressured into prime Mirko Cro Cop, which was a memo that Leon clearly missed, because once that title was around his waist, he was acting like he had the Midas touch, like he was some kind of a money fight for anyone in the UFC, completely dismissing Belal Muhammad even though he was the clear #1 contender and the backup fighter for his match against Colby Covington at UFC 296.
Nah, there definitely other options, you know. I don't feel like Belal should be next. You know, I've done it before. I've won like 10 fights in a row and get a shot. So what makes him different?
Say what you will about Belal, but you can't deny that he took the hardest road to the title possible, and even though he doesn't vocalize it, he's not delusional as to why that is. He understands that the UFC didn't want to see him as champion because he's not marketable, and instead of whining about it, he simply grinded until it became awkward not to give him a shot. And Leon, being in the same boat for a long time, should have understood where he was coming from, especially since their first fight ended with a brutal eye poke that almost led to the end of Belal's career. Anybody with an ounce of morals and empathy in that position would have felt like they owed the guy they almost blinded a second chance. But instead, once he got his hands on the title, he acted like he was now a part of the cool kids club, and losers like Belal didn't deserve a fight against him, regardless of whether or not they were objectively the most deserving challenger. It was infuriating to watch, because not only was it unfair, this guy wasn't any more marketable than Belal, and yet here he was acting like he was the second coming of Conor McGregor, and not the three-piece and a soda meme that he was the year prior.
When you look at, you know, his path to the title and the way he did it, it's very similar to mine, right? He had to go the long road. Nobody was respecting him. Nobody gave him a shot. And then I took a fight on short notice against him, and he committed the foul. He injured me, and the fight got stopped because of that. So, you know, there was a lot of, on my end, it was like my first main event. This is supposed to be my spot, my time to shine, this, and this. And it was like taken from me by him. And he wouldn't give me another shot. And then he tried to just play it off like, oh, I would have won anyway. I would have did this anyway.
Crazy.
And then when you put that narrative out there, fans are just like, oh, well, he's probably right. So from there on out, I just had it in the back of my mind. I had that bad taste in the back of my head this whole time that, man, I want to feel what would have happened. I want to see what would have happened. And then I'm dominating all these guys, winning all these guys, and then they're still disrespecting my streak. Him, his coach, his team, they're still saying, oh, he's not next. We need somebody else. We need somebody else. We need somebody else. So the disrespect that he had, he felt it. He started giving it to me. So that's what pissed me off. That's what's pushing me to hate the guy. That's what's making me excited to make him bleed, to make him break.
And Bilal did break him and had him giving the camera his famous baby deer in the headlights look. But exciting wouldn't be the word that I'd use. To me, it was extremely satisfying to see somebody so full of themselves look like they've seen a ghost when they realize that trying to paint your opponent as a joke doesn't translate into reality like the law of attraction, just like calling yourself Rocky doesn't magically give you heart. And having a title doesn't turn you into a pay-per-view superstar, hence the fight night against Sean Brady. And for what it's worth, as much as Bilal hates Leon, he showed a lot more solidarity in the lead up to Leon's third fight against Usman, rooting for him simply because he empathized with how he was being looked over.
Honestly, I'm hoping Leon wins this fight too. You know, Usman's already looking past him, talking about he wants to fight Yuri and Glover already. When guys start thinking about what's next before the guy that's in front of them, I hope that Leon ruins those plans.
What bothers me the most about Leon is that technically he should be likable because he went from being looked over time and time again all the way to winning the title, which on paper constitutes a great comeback story. But he's so desperate to be a headliner that he doesn't even try to hide the fact that he looks down on the fighters that are in the same exact position as he was for the majority of his career. It's like he's disgusted that he even has to associate with them. Just look at his interpretation of his loss to Bilal.
Like I said, I'm a worse day. He won one round over me to get a decision, and that's it. You know, I'm no longer focused on that fight, and I'll get it back for sure.
When you see him with the belt now, what do you feel?
Every time I see him on Twitter, I have to say like, why? Because he said to me, if he lost, he would have retired. I was like, oh mate, I wish this guy fucking retired because he's annoying. You know what I mean? Just like it doesn't look right on him, the belt. You know what I mean? It just look like, well, like I said, it is what it is.
It doesn't look right on you,
Notice
my
how
guy.
dismissive he acts and what he's actually focusing on. It's not the skills, but rather how ridiculous Bilal now looks with the belt. And considering that their numbers would probably be very similar had they fought the same opponents, who is he to gatekeep who's a good representative and who isn't? Where is this arrogance coming from? The UFC never wanted him in the title picture either. I understand if this type of rhetoric was coming from a legitimate pay-per-view star, but it's Leon Edwards, the guy that was begging Jorge Masvidal to get in the octagon with him after getting punched in the face because he wanted attention, and got brushed off like a gnat for his efforts because nobody cared. At least Bilal had enough dignity to never resort to doing that. Leon has one of the weakest characters I've ever seen from a fighter and takes absolutely no pride in beating the best of his division, instead daydreaming about fitting in with the popular crowd. And let's face it, if he had free reign to do what he really wants, his first title defense would have came against KSI. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like the video if you liked it, and if you want to see.
Shout out to the homie GeeKay. Yeah, man. This nigga Leon. This nigga was too arrogant over a lucky ass head kick. And I think we should go back. Well, we don't gotta find it. But leading up to the third fight with Usman, right? Leon said to Usman that he wasn't being dominated in that fight. And he's like, I don't know what fight you were watching. I wasn't being dominated. And then Kamaru's like just repeating what Leon's coach said to him. Don't let him bully you, Rook. Rock, he's bullying you. Don't let him bully you. And like Leon just like had nothing to say to that. And it's like, dude, what kind of crazy delusion is he living in? You know what I'm saying? Does Matt Serra say like GSP got lucky in the second fight and that he won the first fight because he is the better fighter and that he wins 9 out of 10 times against GSP? Like Leon said he wins 9 out of 10 times against Bilal, even though they fought twice already. Like, it literally can't happen. But, like, who would book that? Here's the 11th fight between Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad. Like, niggas, give it a rest. Give it a rest. Anywho. This nigga's living in crazy delusion, man. He felt like once he won that belt, like that he somehow became a better fighter, that he somehow wasn't being dominated. He somehow didn't need to cheat his ass off against Kamaru in the third fight. And he fought a regressed Colby Covington in that fight. And even after being slammed on his fucking head, completely dominated in this fight against Bilal, he's completely dismissive of it, man. Like, the guys at Calf Kick Sports, they were saying that, like, I was necessarily hating on Bilal, but I don't think I was hating. I think I was aware that this man is very fucking limited, all right? I do not see this man being champion again. He's younger than me, though. He's 33. That's crazy. This nigga's younger than me. It's funny. I remember when I first discovered Israel Adesanya, I was like, man, I want to be like dude when I grow up. And then I looked his age up and I was like, we're the exact same age. I was like, he's just made better use of his time. But I don't rocks with this dude, but I don't think he can come back and be a champion again. I think he's too limited. He checks out clearly, very visibly checks out in these fights. I don't think Leon can ever bounce back and be champion again. It was a fluke. It was a fluke, ladies and gentlemen. But thank you guys for being here once again. Head on over to GeeKay's page. Give him a like, give him a subscribe. Tell him your boy sent you. Thank you guys once again for being here. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I will see you, ladies and gents, when I see ya.
I'm more Francis Ngannou. I be the biggest problem out of any nigga I know. A little old school like some 45 vinyls. You niggas old duels, what that do to the wino? I do it the commercial way, pay without the splits.